Hello, this is your coach Kuya, and today we're going to go over why Steve is broken in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So this is going to be an educational guide that touches on multiple factors that make Steve extremely prominent in the current meta. We're going to highlight multiple factors that contribute to Steve's strengths and consider any anti-Steve strategies to help us prepare against this popular threat. So we'll go over his Minecraft mechanics, we're going to go over his combo potential, we're going to talk about some of his evolving tech, and then at the end, we're going to talk about the anti-Steve tactics. So the first thing that I want to talk about is his tool system. So just like in Minecraft, Steve can upgrade his tools based on what materials he has available to him. In the beginning, you'll start off with wood tools, which has basic damage, no crazy multiplier, but they will break after some time because they're not too durable. The next upgrade after that is stone. Stone is a bit better with a 1.1 times damage modifier, and it is a bit more durable and a bit more knockback compared to wood. Next up is iron, which is going to be the standard. This is what Steves want to go for in the beginning of a match, which is very durable, has a 1.2 times damage modifier, so his damage output just becomes a lot more obvious with iron tools. Very durable and has a bit more knockback compared to the last two tools. Gold tools are a little interesting. So if you play Minecraft, gold tools break very easily. In Smash Ultimate, gold tools have the same durability as wooden tools, and they do the same amount of damage. However, the thing that makes gold stand out is that their attacks are a lot faster. So Steve's frame data becomes a lot quicker if they have gold tools. And finally, we have diamond. So diamond isn't as fast as gold, but it has a 1.35 times damage modifier. It's the most durable and it has the most knockback. So if you're able to play as Steve and you get diamonds and you have diamond tools, you become a very powerful threat on the battlefield. Next up, a big Minecraft mechanic that makes Steve really powerful is block placements. So when Steve has materials, he can place solid blocks on the stage. The types of blocks include dirt, wood, stone, and iron. The stronger the block, the harder it is to break with attacks. So as you could imagine, dirt and wood are pretty easy to break, but stone and iron are a lot more durable and it takes more hits to actually make it disappear from the stage. The benefits of having blocks or having access to blocks is that Steve is the only character that can create their own platforms. In a platform fighter, this is a very powerful tool. Steve can also build obstacles to make approaching him a lot more difficult. So you could imagine Steve building a lot of walls, maybe making a cave, or just putting random blocks across the stage to make running towards him very difficult. He could also use blocks to disrupt certain projectiles. So imagine he sets up a 2-block high wall and a Samus shoots like a fully charged charge shot at him. The blocks would just absorb the charge shot and Steve would be safe behind his wall. You could also think of other projectiles like the boomerangs from Lynx will just bounce off the blocks. Olimar's Pikmin, they won't latch onto the blocks at all. There are a couple projectiles that can work around block placements. So, for example, Pikachu is a great example. Thunder Jolts bounce on the floor, so it'll actually crawl over the blocks and still try to punish, or it'll still pressure Steve, even though he's behind the wall. Steve can also build barriers to block the ledge from a recovering opponent. So in this image here, he placed 3 wooden blocks, and this is actually a Zelda at the later half of her up B. So the blocks actually act as a barrier, which doesn't let her grab the ledge, and she actually just falls because she's stuck in freefall now. Some characters that have recoveries with hitboxes, so like Mario's up B, those could break the blocks, but being able to use blocks as like to literally block off the edge is a lot strong against teleporting up Bs. So not only like Zelda's, but Mewtwo, Palutena, Sheik. If Steve is able to get into this position where he could block off the edge, teleporting recoveries are not going to be able to get through it. And lastly, which is probably the most important one, is that Steve can use block placements to extend combos. I'm sure you've seen a lot of like laddering with up tilts and then they jump, place a block down and continue their combos. So with the ability to create their own platforms, they could also create new combo routes because of it. The last Minecraft mechanic that I want to talk about is his resource-based moves. These three particular attacks can give a lot of people a hard time, so I just want to dissect it a little bit more for you. The first one is Anvil. So Anvil uses up iron, but it's a strong falling projectile similar to Pac-Man's Hydrant. A really important thing to know about an Anvil is that most Steves are pretty predictable when they drop Anvil. Um, but something that Steve has is that when they press down air, they could choose to stay on top of the anvil and fall with it, or they could actually jump off the anvil and let the anvil fall while they drift off to another area of the stage. So just be wary of that. If the Steve sees you like underneath them, they're more likely going to drop an anvil on you, but they do need iron to do it. Next up is Minecart, which is his side B, which can act as a burst option. A command grab as Steve jumps out of it. So if the minecart is empty and you're grounded, it'll actually grab you and you'll be stuck in the cart. And the minecart can also act as a way to absorb attacks because the cart itself has 8.4 hits or hit points or health points. Also, Steve does get some knockback armor during the startup of the move. So if he try to hit him with a low knockback move like a jab, he might just ignore it because of side B. Minecart gets even more terrifying if Steve has redstone and gold because he gets access to the powered rail, which makes Minecart a lot stronger and faster. So just watch out for that if he has gold in his inventory. The last resource-based move that I want to talk about is the TNT block. So it basically summons this explosive block that can be used for ledge traps to scare enemies. Steve has access to down smash, which is like a lava bucket, which can explode the TNT. And also you can make a pressure plate that triggers the TNT when you press the plate. So it could set up a lot of traps. So just watch out for this one as well. You can hit it yourself to try to knock it out of position, but I would just be very careful about it just because the TNT hitbox when detonated is really big. Okay, so the first thing that makes Steve broken is his combo potential. So let's first talk about up tilt and jab. Up tilt is a quick low lag move that makes that can combo into itself and to multiple up airs, making this a very prominent combo starter for Steve. This axe swing is also really safe on shield, where if you upgrade the tools, an iron up tilt is only -2 on shield, which a lot of characters can't punish, and golden diamond is -1, which is even more ridiculous. It's not to say that it's free because like you do have to hit them with like the beginning or the very end of the up tilt attack, but if you get hit by an earlier part of the up tilt, it's not as safe. Lastly, jab is also in the same boat as up tilt, where it has very little end lag, but can easily connect jabs into itself into an up tilt combo or a grab or any other like combo starter that you have. One thing that up tilt and jab share is that both moves are actionable while Steve is moving and jumping. So not only are these really great combo starters, but Steve is still mobile during these attacks, which is pretty incredible. The next thing is his down throw. Down throw is Steve's main combo starter grab, where you could do a short hop fair for most of the cast to get some pretty devastating combos. And you could link the short hop fair spike into some more jabs and even more fair spikes to like create a really cool, a little bit of a horizontal chain. And if you are fighting against like a fast faller like Fox, you could actually do down throw into run up jab and just walk them off to the edge and then spike them for a free stock. So as you see in the GIF here, I get a true edge or a true 8-hit combo on Fox just by walking and jabbing. And then right when I'm off stage, I get him with the spike. And then I double dip for a second spike. And a free stock for me. Okay, now let's talk about his tech. I'm not going to go over all of the tech that Steve has because it is a lot. So I'm only going to talk about two that I think are the most important. The first one is no impact lands or nil. This is an advanced technique where you cancel any landing lag by landing precisely on a platform. Characters that nil properly can act immediately on the platform, which is great for movement and possible combos. This is a pretty niche tech, but it's incredibly important for Steve due to the fact that he can summon blocks with proper timing to immediately be actionable on his block. This is great for starting combos, continuing combos, and kill confirms. This is great for vertical movement in general, just because it's really easy for you to rise with multiple, double jump, nil block, and then continue doing that process to rise. And you also shield instantly on the block because you're actionable. So if you think someone's about to hit you, but you still put a block down, you could protect yourself with a shield when you're normally in the air. And that's an option unique to Steve. Okay, this is a big one. The Phantom Major League Gaming or a PMLG is when Steve is able to cancel hit stun under specific conditions, which is performing another tech called a Phantom Block technique or a PBT, then getting hit by a move that doesn't put him in tumble. If those conditions are met, Steve can actually retaliate by canceling the hit lag of the move while the opponent is in their end leg of their move. So let's say I get hit by Lucina doing an up air and I don't get put in tumble. I could hit her back while she's finishing the animation of her up air. Because this tech was discovered, there's a really big reason why Steve was banned was because of PMLG. But now that Steve's a bit more legal now, you might run into this tech. So just watch out for that. All right. Now, the moment you've been waiting for, we have some anti-Steve tactics. A lot of people see Steve and just instantly give up because they think this character is broken, but everything has counterplay. So here's the first thing I want to talk about is to start off strong. Steve begins with very basic materials and tools at the start of the match, and he doesn't have immediate access to gold, diamonds, redstone, or even that much iron to begin with. The start of the match is when Steve is the weakest, and Steve has to commit a lot of time to start mining for materials. Due to this, let's try to put Steve in very uncomfortable spots and positions where mining isn't as free for them. And it's even better if you can knock him off stage, if you could start some combos, or put him in any form of disadvantage so he doesn't have access to mining at all. So he's stuck with these beginner materials. If you put a lot of effort into that, it makes the Steve's life a lot harder and you might be able to run away with the win. Next up is to abuse their movement and range. So despite all of the crazy stuff that I went over with Steve, with all his tech, all his combos, all of his Minecraft mechanics, he's still a really slow character with a very low jump height. His mobility is just not the best. It's probably one of the worst out of the cast. This forces Steve players to play more reactive and defensively, so they're gonna try to watch their opponent approach them and punish that approach. They won't really initiate a fight. If your character does have a lot of speed, you could constantly provoke Steve and just dance around him a lot to just continue to keep him on edge, to give yourself an easier time fighting him, instead of just like ramming your head into like his up tilt combos. Additionally, Steve, according to a lot of Steve pros, Steve worst matchups tend to be people that can outrange Steve with disjoint. So a lot of sorties have a good time against Steve. Pyramithra kind of has the benefit of not only having good disjointed hitboxes, but also the speed to back it up. So Pyromancer is a really good counter pick for Steve. Just watch out because Steve can do the jab train on Mithra, but not on Pyro, I think. But with all that being said, if you do have any disjoints or any sword attacks, try to use as many safe pokes to stay out of those threat ranges that Steve wants you to be in. And that is it. I hope you had a good time learning more about why Steve is a broken character and how to beat that character. And I hope to hear and see you all soon.